we don't realize that, we can go 3 days without water. We can barely go minutes without breath. We can go like weeks without food. We can go our entire life by not going to the gym. Life is also a stage, right? And your social media is a stage. Anyone can stand up and step up anytime they choose.
All right, Snez V, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, me too. Man, let's see. The last time we met up, we were in uh, California at Fit Body Boot Camp headquarters for a mastermind via
Hmm.
Bedros Keuilian.
Yep.
And the time before that was the first time I got to see you up on stage at a BK Live event.
Hmm.
That was awesome. I got to hear your story, and I can't wait to take a deep dive to share your story with the audience today. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So originally you're from Australia.
I am, yes. Capital of Australia, which is Canberra. I'm from Canberra. I was born there, raised there. And then I moved over to the US about 9 years ago now.
Yeah, and also you're a former professional soccer player.
Yes. So I played it's called the W League over there. I played in the W League for 7 years, which was awesome because it got me obviously around Australia. It brought me over here as well. So I was super fortunate. And soccer was like my life. Spent like 20 years playing it.
Yeah. And you faced a little bit of adversity, which led you down your new career path, but you've had 9 surgeries.
Yeah, so
And that,
9 surgeries. It was wild. So I didn't expect to, right? Like I thought I was the athlete that wouldn't have surgeries. I thought I was the athlete that wouldn't have issues, but I was wrong because I really had like a little bit of a downfall in one of my seasons. I blocked a shot and I rolled my ankle. I tore a bunch of ligaments and I thought it was fine. I didn't do the big surgery. I just did a minor one. So that was my first one. It was actually my second one. I had my first one when I was a lot younger. I was in a car accident. So I had my first one there. So that was my second one. Then I was thinking about ending my career, but I was like, no, I'll try and stay in it because you always try and stay in things longer than you should.
yeah.
And, I found myself in a really sticky situation because then I actually got a really bad tackle, had like 6 different damages. I ended up, one of the main damages was a ruptured ACL. So then I got my ACL repaired. So that was another surgery. A year later, tried to make a comeback, tore it again, another surgery. Then I found issues with my ankle, another surgery. I found issues with my shoulder, another surgery. And then I got hit by a car, so another 2 surgeries. So there was a lot of different surgeries. Most of them did come from soccer. Only 2 of them didn't come from soccer. Well, 3 of them didn't come from soccer. One of them was a double.
Wow. Oh my God, you got hit by a car. Yeah, I remember. Well, I know your story from BK Live, but yeah, talk a little bit about the journey to recovery after that. My God.
Yeah. So I guess like the journey is always depending on where you want to go and what you want to take from each segment, right? I think we're constantly writing a book. And when we're writing this book, there's so many different chapters that I think some of us want to not think about. Some of us don't want to actually know about. However, every chapter that was the hardest was the ones that built me the most. So every surgery, I learned something about myself. So that's like 9 pretty solid lessons in life.
Yeah.
Now, after my ACLs, I really did think about like, what's the next step? Like, what am I going to do with myself, with my life? I was still in fitness at the time, but I really wanted to do something with that. And so I was in a long distance relationship. I thought this is the time. Soccer was the main thing keeping me in Australia. And I thought if I give up soccer, I can maybe come over here. I can work. I had a job planned. I had a relationship going. I had a few things happening. But I came over here. I found out I had been like cheated on for like over a year or something. So then that relationship failed within like a few weeks. Then I, picked myself back up eventually, and, started diving into work. And then I lost my job. And, things just started falling apart around me, I guess. And I was doing all the right things. I was dedicated. I was still trying. I was still doing other things. But it's almost like no matter which way I turned, I ran into a wall.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason for the wall for me and the benefit to the wall was to break me down so I can build myself up. I was always I was a people pleaser. I had some anger issues. I had a lot of, I guess, self-limiting beliefs. And I believe that every adversity I faced was was really to kind of do some reflection, calibrate myself, build myself, and get better. So the journey's been epic because once I did all that, I opened my own gym in Orange County. And so I have a gym over here in California. I went online, I mastered both of those. I've done really, really well. I have a great team. People look at me today and think that this is how it was, but it was never like this. I hit the bottom, I hit the rock bottom.
It's a long road, yeah. It's interesting because the first word that comes to mind when I think of you is robust, strong, healthy, and vigorous. And like getting to see you in person and up on stage. I mean, I don't think I know anybody that rocks a pair of jeans like you do.
Thank
You
you. I like
you
that.
really
I like
need to come out with your own denim line, I think. Holy
that
shit.
is the best.
I remember seeing you after you were on stage and you were walking down the hallway and you had like a little entourage that was behind you. And I was like, she's a bad motherfucker and she can rock a pair of jeans like nobody's business. Holy smokes.
I have not received that compliment. I will take it, and I will
Oh,
tell I
yeah.
will tell whoever provided me with my outfit.
And now your gym that's amazing too. I love following you on social media and your podcast is on Spotify and that's the
Mhm.
Snez V show.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Amazing, inspiring, and gosh, I mean, your gym is called Ausletics,
Ausletics.
right?
Yeah. So
Yes.
I put Australia and athletics together, and that's what I got.
Yes, I love it. I put that together and I was like, yes, that's amazing. Perfect. And so you offer, I mean, you've got such a background in everything. I mean, nutrition, training,
Mhm.
and you have a diverse clientele base too, from athletes to moms to everyday your entrepreneurs and business owners. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what does it look like a typical day training with you?
Yeah, so most of the people that I work with are not brand new. I will tell you that. They are somewhat seasoned or experienced in the field of health. Whether they've worked with trainers before, coaches before, they've done it on their own for quite a while, they usually find themselves plateauing, stuck, and in a position where they need more help. They need to get unstuck. So most of the time, it is the person that, really has been at things for a while. Now, a lot of what I do is in person in my gym. I actually train youth now, so I'm all about the youth performance, mostly
Yeah.
because I didn't have as much options. I guess when I was 13 years old, I started in the gym when I was 13. I lied about my age so I could get in there because back then we had to be a certain age to get into the gym. So I was like, "Oh, I'm 16." I did not look 16. I don't know why they believed me, but I used to, I wanted to start the gym because I wanted to, build some strength. I wanted to support my sport. And so I wanted to create a space where 9-year-olds can come, 8-year-olds can come, 6-year-olds can come, 14-year-olds, and they can feel like safe. They can learn technique. They can learn awareness. So I created first a gym that was more about strength and conditioning for adults. And I quickly learned that, the adults have a lot of options. There's, a gym on every street for them. But for the
Yeah.
kids or for the youth, not so much. So we pivoted actually and started implementing a youth program, and now it's just grown and grown, and it's awesome. I have a great team that runs that. So for me, I got the opportunity to pivot online, just like, I guess a lot of people created that opportunity and took hold of it. And I started working with people that I'd worked with in the past, brand new people, everything like that. And so what they would do is they would come on board of me because most of what I do is the psychology and the nutrition of things. There is a lot of training programs out there, and I truly believe that honestly, any training program can work. It really comes down to putting in the work.
Yeah.
Um, and I do training programs for people, but I mostly focus on the nutrition side of things because that's what I am an expert in, and as well as the psychology and the mindset. So I take the person and I will take them on a journey. Like I will look at how do they perceive themselves and life? Where are the decisions that are being made? What roads are they leading them down? And what thoughts do we need to change for them to make some better outcomes for themselves? A
Yeah.
lot of the time people will get very stuck. They get stuck in the story that they've lived in for years, sometimes their whole life. So to change that, you've got to change the way you think. And if you change the way you think, you'll decide differently. And then the perception of yourself changes as well. So nutrition wise, I really don't go with what's out there with the trends, the fads, the diets, anything like that. For me, I've learned through my own nutrition, my own sports dietitian, my own education, that the best way to apply nutrition is something that's right for you, that you need to apply for yourself, because every body is different. But most of the time, people just don't eat right. That's just it. We don't eat right, we don't eat accurately, and we definitely don't accommodate our energy sources, right? Our energy requirements. So I help people understand nutrition from a level that makes sense. I try not to make it too chemical, even though it is chemistry. I try not to make it like that. From a psychological standpoint, I'll take them on a whole different journey of rewiring the way that they think so that they can then have a different outcome. So that's what a day in the life looks like with me. When they're working with me on a daily, I can help them shift their perceptions.
Well, that's beautiful because, I know a lot of people we've been brainwashed, right? We need to we need to unbrainwash ourselves as far as nutrition goes. A lot of people turn to food for emotional support, and not a lot of people are eating for fuel, they're eating for pleasure. And that's something you've got to reverse. I know for myself, like when I started really taking fitness seriously, I started with nutrition. Like, and one thing leads to another, and I got involved in juicing and getting familiar with like my the produce section at the store, and really
Mm-hmm.
just walking through the store on my own, and taking the time to learn like what's down the aisle and what am I putting in my body, and paying attention to eliminating foods from my life, like just eliminating fast food. You can tell the difference once you eliminate that in your brain. Like, wow, salmon and blueberries make me feel great.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's makes me feel like shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you've got the brain fog and all of that. It's a whole process. And then if you're back and forth, it's really a lifestyle change. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on the fad diets and all that stuff. I really don't partake in anything like that. It's really a lifestyle commitment and just eating clean and trying to eat for fuel versus pleasure. Even though every now and again, I will partake in some ice cream
Yeah.
here and there.
But I think that's part of the problem too, right? People think nutrition and to eat well, it's like all or nothing. They have this
Yeah,
idea that it's like, I have to restrict myself, I have to deprive myself, and I just can't do that for the rest of my life. I'm like,
same.
whoa, that's a pretty extreme narrative you've just kind of, believed to be true, but I don't believe that to be true. I think there is a way that you can make nutrition 80% clean, 20% not, 90% clean, 10% not.
There it is. I mean, I love pizza, so I like to enjoy pizza and things like that. It's funny because I wasn't sure we were going to be able to pull the podcast off today because I actually bought some ice cream yesterday. I treated myself to some ice cream. I never buy ice cream, bought it, and then we had a huge storm, and within 5 minutes all the power went out, and we haven't had power all day. And then the power came back on, but I was like, why that happened was because I bought the ice cream.
Yeah. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, no, but you're so right, and I love following your social media. I love following you on Instagram because you are very nutrition focused, and you know what you're talking about, and you have the education and the experience to back it up, and the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. And I definitely appreciate that about you, and I love that you're into educating people, and especially starting with the youth because those school lunches, they're probably horrible, like they were when I was in
Terrible.
school.
They still are. They still are.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't seen what they look like these days, but I'd be willing to bet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you actually get into the schools at all? Are you able to like work with the gym teachers and any
Yeah.
of
So
that?
right now we actually just are starting to apply to be a charter, to work with charter schools. So homeschooling kids, best thing for them is to get out and actually kind of like be around other kids. So we're just starting with that. And the next step is to slowly make our way around to the schools. We always talk about nutrition with the kids, though. It's one of the top topics that we bring to the kids that currently come to us, because one of the biggest things we ask kids before when they come in is like, hey, what'd you eat today? And what are you
Yeah.
eating after this? And they always like look back at their parents. I'm like, don't blame them. You're old enough to tell them, I don't want that. And maybe I don't
Yeah.
need that. You can kind of combat them. You can challenge your parents by saying, hey, like, is there any other options? Right? Like, I think that a lot of the time kids just kind of get what they're given.
Yeah. Yep, I've worked in the mental health field for years, and I used to work in homes with like say six guys live in a home together, and I would help prepare meals with them, and I would work with a dietitian, develop a plan for them,
Hmm.
and a lot of people like hand food, right? Like nuggets and fries and all of this, and hot dogs and such, which is all horrible, but those are foods to be indulged on a limited level, and
Yeah.
what I found is that when I would prepare food for folks, I would prep stuff and I would prepare hand food, but healthy versions of like celery sticks, carrots, and things like that, grapes, sliced apples, and things of that nature, and put it in Ziploc bags, all prepped, and keep it in the crisper drawers. So because people want that quick fix, like they just want to
Yeah.
go in and they want to grab and they want to snack. And so, but like if you do that, but fruit and veggies, that takes time because you got to go in, you got to slice it up, and people just don't want to take the time.
Yeah.
But when I was working with those folks, I found that everybody was all about it. And it's all about presentation. And if you present it, if parents present the healthy options and make it super accessible like that, the kids are going to be more apt to grab it, you know?
Yes, for sure. Well,
Yeah.
I will tell you also just on that topic of mental health as well. Most of and emotional eating, right? Emotional eating, people stress eat, people stress not eat, like whatever. And a lot of the time, people don't realize that nutrition is can be a form of self sabotage,
Yeah.
right? And then you've got the person who's like that will say, well, nutrition is a form of self care as well, because it is. We don't realize that we can go 3 days without water. We can barely go minutes without breath. We can go like weeks without food. We can go our entire life by not going to the gym, right? How is the order? And you said it yourself. You went and you did nutrition first. 90% of the population do not do that. 90% will go to the gym. That's not the issue. They'll walk through the door. Yes, they may be a little intimidated. They're a little insecure with themselves. They start building some muscle. They start feeling good. But still the issue? All the body fat they're carrying. They don't get rid of the body fat. They just build muscle underneath the body fat, still
Yeah.
having the layers. And so it's rare for someone to truly do it the way that you did it. Very rare. Because most of the time people will go bypass the nutrition, go to the gym, and then the psychological patterns will come up, and what they'll do is they will go to the gym and they will earn their food. And so that's where the cycle of, oh, you worked so hard today. Come on, just have the burger, just have the fries. Let's go out for a beer after the gym. Then you're kind of combating this psychological issue that someone's saying. So, like food is now not a reward or not a punishment, and it's now a reward system. And I remember when I used to have a great game of soccer, my mum would say, hey, we could go to McDonald's and get you a Happy Meal, way back
Right.
when. And I was like, oh my gosh, best day ever. However, she didn't realize at the time you're creating a psychological issue in me that I'm going to now see food as a reward system.
Yes.
But I'm not
Yeah.
a dog. I don't need that.
Right. No, I get that. Yeah. Nutrition's very important. And as far as mindset goes too, like I notice like if you go back and forth and you fall into that slippery slope of kind of back into I much like you, like I will allow myself some treats every now and again, like ice cream or pizza and all this. But like there had been times over like the last decade where you could easily like go COVID, for example. I went hardcore into fitness during COVID, and I was
Nice.
still working, and my business is essential because like I said, I work in the mental health field and provide 24-hour in-home care to folks
Nice.
residentially. So that was still, we still had to go to the grocery store and get them their food and like do all these things. People have to prepare meals and such, but like I know a lot of people really turned to food during that time and alcohol, and
They,
that just
they
packs
gained the
on the
quarantine
pounds.
15.
Yes, yeah, that was a real thing, and so I went in the other direction, but I mean I can admit too there were times where I was like a little bit and I stress ate some pizza and different things like that, but I was still hardcore like trying to focus on my mental health because you still have to lead, you still have those, like you have to lead for your gym and your team and your entourage that walks behind you while you're rocking those fucking jeans.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That was so great seeing you speak up on stage at BK. And I know you shared too. I want to say you shared on stage and at the mastermind that like public speaking was not your gig. Like back in the day, like that was not something you thought you'd be doing, was getting up on stage and doing podcasts and writing books and like all of these things, but you have an amazing story and like I remember just being lit up cuz did you speak 2 years in a row at BK?
Yeah, so the first year I spoke, it was very minimal. It was just
Yes.
a short talk, and then I did a full solo the next year. And this year
Yes,
I'm going to be doing the
that's
same, another speaking as well. I'll be on the
yeah,
panel.
you're coming up here. Is that's in May, right? At the end of May?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, wow. There's probably still tickets left for that. So, yeah,
Yes.
I hope
Yeah,
that you
people,
guys
if they can make it out, it's going to be a great show.
yeah, man, that it's so powerful. Those events are so impactful, and I was so blessed to be there. And I'm the worst at those events with taking pictures, and like we've run into each other 3 times now, and I never do it because I'm so caught up in the moment at those events because I'm so inspired that I'm just not connected to my phone. I'm not
Yeah.
taking pictures and I'm not posting, and it's like, damn it, every time. And then we were at the mastermind, which was also great, and I hate getting up and speaking like that. And I think you were sharing about how, because we all go around the room and introduce ourselves and what we do, and that's such a great group of folks. And you got up and you said, this isn't my favorite thing to do either. But I was laughing to myself because I was like, is she fucking kidding me? She rocked that stage.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I think sometimes we have an innate ability that we haven't tapped into until we're forced to find it.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And adversity brings it out. And I like how you spoke about like the 9 surgeries were essentially like 9 chapters of your life's book. You know what I mean? That's amazing. I mean, just you're right. I mean, I could relate on so many levels to your story. Just I did not get hit by a car, but my house did.
Dang.
That was like the one thing that was a little bit different in the stories, but I was like, wow. And you really only can go one way or another with it. It's like, are you going to turn the adversity into, you know, um, something powerful to teach people through, or are you going to crawl inside a bottle or a bag of fast food over it? You know what I mean? And,
Right.
you
Yes.
really took it in the other direction. And it's like a lot of the people that do get up on stage and share their stories turned it around and they chose to go in the other direction, and that's just so powerful. And it's never too late to turn something around when you face adversity, and I think that's what I took mostly from your story and everybody else that braved that stage, because it's such a powerful group of people that get together and get up on that stage for that event.
And I think,
Yeah.
to that point, uh, life is also a stage, right?
Yeah.
And your social media is a stage. Anyone
Yes.
can stand up and step up anytime they choose. It comes down to just a matter of choice. When you decide to really kind of like push past the things that you think might be in the way, they're not, right? Nothing's really ever in the way, it's on the way.
Right.
And if you can honestly take apart whatever it is that's limiting you, you can show up, whether it's for that job, right? For that social media account, for that relationship, for whatever it is. A lot of the time we tell ourselves a story of why we can't when we have no evidence of that, no evidence to support or suggest that you can't do it. I truly believe that everyone has it in them. I truly believe that everyone does. It's just a matter of tapping into it.
I believe that too. I believe that. And I learned that only through my own journey, much
Mhm.
like you. And it was like, once you're faced with adversity, like I felt like just got lit on fire and said, go. Like it was like, Jesus Christ, how many more things are going to happen to me, in a row? And then it
Yeah.
was just like, then, like there were certain things that I never thought I was going to be doing that I just felt universally pushed to do, like starting my business, getting
Mhm.
involved in my nonprofit, and getting my message out about just mental health and inspiration, and giving back to community and connecting people. And that's when I started working on my social media platform after taking a big break from social media, really focusing, honing in on my nutrition and my fitness and my goals and my mindset. I mean, I really went off the grid and disconnected from everybody and went internal, and, faced all my adversity and broke it all down, and broke myself down, and then built myself back up. And then I reemerged with my own results, and then kind of like started, this is back in 2016, started, crafting my social media to use as a tool, as a platform to share and to inspire and to educate people and kind of share things going on with my nonprofit and kind of my journey. And it became kind of like a personal diary, which when I watch yours, I feel the same. It's like you're sharing your life's experience and the things that you're doing that help you be your best self. And I don't think, you know, that's anything to scoff at. That's a real big platform to use to your advantage, and you do it so well. I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love doing it. It helps when you love it, right?
And you're so authentic. I know authentic, that word's all over the place right now, but like you are a very authentic person, and you're very authentically confident. Like I said, I'll never forget watching you walk down that hallway, and I was just like, that's a bad motherfucker. And she's like, you're not, there's no arrogance about you at all. You're just so cleanly confident, and it's beautiful. And I think that like when you get up on stage, like everyone's ears just perked up, and like everyone paid attention. Like I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Confidence is hard to I guess observe for people, and I don't think that there is a true way to get confident, right? Like there's not like one way to get confident, whether or not some people are confident even though they're unfit. I think confidence really is something that people develop within, and
Yes.
their idea of confidence might be completely different to yours or mine. Doesn't make it right or wrong, it just makes it what it is, but you can sense confidence in someone, and insecurity is extremely loud. And people cover their insecurity in so many different ways. And I truly believe that if someone can develop a sense of self that they are really proud of, that they understand that they're still going to do shameful or embarrassing things and accept it and learn from it, I really think that that's probably a place where confidence really lies, like at the border of
Yes.
support and challenge, at the border of growth and destruction, right? I think it's at the border. And
Yeah.
that's where I think when I show up, I know that I'm nervous, but I know I can deliver. I know that
Yeah.
I'm going to be judged, but I'm still going to try. Like I think that's where I'm at. I'm always at like the back and forth of the positive and the negative, but I don't live in one. And that's where arrogance is. Like some people like live in a place of positivity, and they're like, I'm so proud I did this. I'm so proud I did this. I'm like, you're just arrogant because you just keep labeling how good you are,
Right.
right? There's a place for that. There's a place for that. And there's also a place to, humble yourself. Otherwise life will humble you. And
Yeah.
I think that if you want to get confident, if you want to establish a great sense of self, understand that life is always going to be ups and downs, but let's actually try to look at the downs as a great opportunity and the ups as a great benefit. And just as that, there is no right or wrong or, all or nothing. There's just in betweens.
Yeah. And I like your point too about like healthy confidence and knowing the difference between ego and arrogance. Like that's a big thing. Like everyone needs to really weigh out what that looks like, confidence versus ego and arrogance. And I think humility is a beautiful quality, being humble. And I often used to find myself too full of humility where it was a negative for me, so I wasn't in a healthy balance with it because I was constantly, it was hard for me to accept compliments, and I would immediately be putting myself down to balance out that compliment to the person. And it was like, just accept the compliment with grace and say thank you.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with accepting a compliment. It took me forever to get to that point.
Well, I'll help you out with that. And this would have helped you for a long time ago. When you minimize yourself, you're maximizing others.
Yeah, I
And
learned.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when I heard that line, I was like, and someone gives me a compliment, this is why I'll be like, that's awesome.
Yes, me too. It took me
Yeah.
a long time to get there, and that was a rough one. But it's almost like I also noticed too, like I was tricking my mind into believing the negative things that I was saying about myself. It was like I didn't at first, but then it got to that point, and I was like, like your body picks up on all that stuff. It's a tool, and it hears all. It hears all.
Well, so there's something called the moral licensing effect. And this is the point where when someone is in a place of pride, the brain naturally will do or think something shameful to balance you to equilibrium. Same thing in reverse. This is the whole idea of someone that goes to the gym, works out hard, and then believes that they can, then go and eat pizza, and they do it, and then they feel shameful, and then it balances their pride. So then they're in that two places. The same thing as if you were to, puff yourself up and give yourself a bunch of compliments, and then someone goes and says something to you to balance you out. Like, the brain will naturally look for it, and it will naturally happen with or without you trying. Right. However, you can actually look for it yourself to keep yourself in balance, rather than getting like curveballs thrown at you going, where did that come from? Well, you asked for it. If you're always negative, someone will, if you're like, if you're always negative, someone will come into your world and compliment you to balance you. You're just not listening. And then party's like, actually, like, things are going really well lately. And then you'll balance out. Or you'll go and search for something to make you feel better, and you'll balance yourself out. We just need to be in equilibrium at all times. Our brains love equilibrium. They love it. That's why we've got two of them, right? And they want to be balanced. They want to be equal. And when they are, we are at our best.
Absolutely. And I think it also, it's very important regarding who you surround yourself with. I mean, like, who you're hearing things from, compliments. Everyone's been around that group of people that offers backhanded compliments, or people that, I'm sure, like, you've achieved a lot of success, and you've got a lot going for you, and not everyone's really rooting for you, so you want to make sure that you're aware of that, and your body picks up on that energy. And as I've gotten along in life with more life experience versus saying older, I feel like I'm really in tune with that stuff. And so, like, just like being a part of the legacy tribe, that's a group that's pumping each other up, not trying to put each other down or hold you back. Like, it's really important what you're hearing and who you're hearing it from. I think that's huge.
Yep, I agree.
And that can either build you up or tear you down. And you know what I mean? When you're getting around people that are putting falsities in your head, that can definitely hold you back. That can hold back your confidence, and you can, start doubting yourself. That's why, like, for me, I just did a big audit on who I was surrounding myself with. And that's why I had to step back from everybody. And then, like, I knew that when it was time for me to come back into the mix, with my own personal results from my own personal journey, that the right people would float back in or not. And that's the way it was. So, yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. What would you say, like, for someone listening, would be a good place to start as far as nutrition goes? Something easy for someone to take their first steps.
Yes, for sure. We live in a world where protein is definitely undereaten. And it goes back to when they first started doing studies, and they mostly did studies on men. Now they're doing more studies on women. So I always say to people, if you want to start with nutrition, start by just doing a quick little audit of your foods, right? Going, okay, what's highly processed? What do I kind of always revert to that I know deep down is, like, it's not rocket science, right? If you're eating a lot of processed sugar, back away. If you're eating fast food, back away. Just do a quick audit of your nutrition. Just, like, look at the last 3 days of what you've been eating and going, what could I truly just make an instant change on right away, this second? That would be the first thing I would get people to do. Second thing is I would go track your protein for a few days. Are you eating under 100 grams? Change it right away, right? Women in particular. And you want to go, okay, what is the ideal weight I want to be? And you can eat that amount in grams. That's just a really easy calculation that people can use. Yes, there is a lot of calculations that are out there, and there's a specific way to do it, and I will say that. But for someone that's just starting, audit what you're doing for a few days, then track your protein, have a look at how much you're actually eating. Some people will be shocked. I've had people that have come to me, they're like eating maybe 60 grams. I've had people come to me, maybe 30 grams, and I'm like, well, I mean, no wonder why you're sore for a week, because you go and do a workout and there's no chance your body's recovering or even building. No. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, and then some people are like hovering around the 80, 90 grams, but it's still too low. Doesn't matter. Like, it's still too low. So I always say, like, look at your protein. And then another one is hydration. Most people have cravings because they're just thirsty. Like, that's just the simplest fix ever, because they don't track their water. They're not thinking about water. and they're getting all of these sugar cravings, but really they're literally thirsty. They don't have
Yeah.
enough water in their body. So I would
You know
say
what the
those
big one?
three.
Thank you. And you know what the big one was for me? Years ago, I cut out pop, never went back. Soda. That was huge because I noticed like I didn't even know why I drank soda. I think it was just because I was conditioned to it. Because
Mhm.
really, my favorite beverage is cold, fresh, clean water. I drink it all day,
Right
every
on.
day, and I never went back to soda. And what I remember about soda was that it always made me more thirsty, and it
Mhm.
just tasted like thick syrup and sugar.
Yep.
So that was huge, just getting rid of that, period. Like
Mhm.
that's a great first step too, like because then you can focus on your hydration.
Yeah, I had a girl that worked for, I think it was Pepsi or Coca-Cola. I forgot which one she worked for. So she had to have one every day. She just got into the habit. She's like, I have a Pepsi every day. I'm like, every day? She's like, every day. I need one. I need one at 2:30. I'm like,
Oh,
my first concern is the word need after I need a Pepsi. And I was like, okay, let's first kill that. And she goes, but sometimes I'll have the Pepsi Zero or whatever it is. And I was like,
oh,
no, no, we're like you're literally drinking sugar. Let's change
yeah,
that. And so, but again, she was dehydrated. That just dehydrated her more. So that was the first step for her, right? Like it wasn't even about the other stuff. It was like,
right,
can we change that? Can we go from 7 cans a week, sometimes more, to 3 cans a week? Can we just make that little adjustment? Then we go from 3 to 2, then 2 to 1, 1 to 1 every other day. And it has to be a process because you got to remember these people are wired a certain way. They're
right.
wired to believe that they need it. So they believe the story. So then they act accordingly to the story they're stuck in.
Yes, and it's addiction. Like that stuff is like filled with additives, and I think it's like the diet ones are the worst. Oh my God, anytime I see someone drinking a diet, I'm like, that is the worst one.
Well, it does change a bit more of the chemistry of the brain. However, is it better on your body? Yeah, there's studies to suggest that it is better than the real deal, but there's studies to suggest that it's not, right?
Right.
Depends on which studies you
Yes.
search for.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
And who's paying
misinformation
for
on
that
the
study?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet, and that's why I think it's good. Like, if you're not, if you really just don't have the time, like, to focus on your nutrition on your own and do all the research, that's why it's important someone find their way to someone like you that is a nutrition coach and has that background and their training so you can lead them down the right path. I mean, for me, like, it's a combination of both because that's not my area of expertise, but I did take a deep dive so I could find out what was the best path for me in my nutrition journey to feed myself on a daily basis, right? And then I just rely on smart folks like you to tell me the
There
rest.
you go. Well, I mean, your arms didn't get that way because you weren't tackling your nutrition. I can show you that.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Thank you.
Man, so this year at BK Live, so you're up on stage with some great folks. Father Michael Butler, he's a friend of mine.
Cool.
He's been here in the studio. He's here in Michigan with me in the Metro Detroit area. And so you'll be sharing the stage with him. And are there any other folks that you get up on stage with that you connect with in the group on often?
Yeah,
Or,
so I mean, Bryce, right? Bryce Henson,
yes,
Fit Body, and so he's always a treat, right, to be around.
yes.
Steve, from the
Steve
project.
Eckhart?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Steve Eckhart. He is such a great dad and such a great family man. He's a wild card. I love that
Yeah,
guy.
so a lot more of those guys who are more the OGs for sure. I
Yes.
definitely vibe quite well with a bunch of them guys. Yes, I did meet Father Michael. He was really cool. Actually, I met him last year, so it was just honestly everyone was really cool to be around. But
Yeah.
some of them, yeah, I do talk to a little bit more often than the others.
Cool. Now I have to ask, do you have everyone's got a different process. Do you have a process before you go up on stage to kind of psych yourself up, or do you just fucking get out there and tell your story just
Yeah, so for me, it's very much about just probably getting my head in the right place. Like
yeah.
understanding where I'm at and why. Like just being really intentional. For me, it's
Yeah.
really about like just keeping myself calm, keeping myself grounded. Cause like you're nervous, right? Like you're really nervous and you don't want to go up there and stutter. That's not fun. Um,
Right.
so for me, it's not really doing anything in particular, just being very connected to myself. Like, what am I feeling? Calming my nerves down, focusing on breathing, focusing on the message. Just keep coming back to the message. Keep coming back to the message. What am I here for? Why am I here to do it? If I can stay aligned with that, that's like my pump. Like which is weird because it's actually not a pump.
No, but I get it, and it makes sense, and that like definitely speaks to what I've seen of you up on stage. Like it makes perfect sense, and you just tell your story, and that's just it, and I love it. What are you talked about focusing on your breath and things like that? What are obviously you're very fit, and you focus on all the things,
Hmm.
spiritually, mentally, physically, all of those things. But like, I always like to ask people. I'm into like some different biohacks, like just sauna and some box breathing and things like that. What are some of the things like along those lines that you're into? I
Yeah.
don't really get into the cold plunge. I know Bryce is a huge cold plunge guy, but
Yeah.
I'll do it. But like, it's not my one of my favorite regular routine things. But how about yourself?
I do like breath work, any breath work, right? Whether it's box breathing or something else. I do like breath work. I'm a big fan of journaling. That's probably one of my top go-tos is journaling. I
Yes.
just think that journaling is really helpful because of what it does to the brain and how it helps you in terms of like not storing things that are unnecessary to be stored and things like that. And then I do like the sauna and I do like the cold plunge. I like them together, to be honest. I think they're really
Yeah.
powerful. It's just a matter of what can I get access to, what's my schedule allow me to do. But I do really enjoy the sauna. It's always a good feeling. It's way better feeling than the cold plunge, that's for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, I would say breathwork and journaling are my top two. Like following those would be, the cold plunge and the sauna together.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's nothing better than a nice hot, I call it for me, sweating out the crazy.
There you go.
It's like I just get in there and I can think and I can release. And they make it so easy now. I have a portable sauna in my
Oh,
garage. It just
nice.
pops up and it's such an easy process. And I just get in there and just sweat it out. I just feel so like it's like changing your oil for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. Now, finally, what are 3 steps someone could take? Because we went down the nutrition road.
Yes.
Like someone after taking the nutrition steps, what are easy fitness steps they could take to just start the journey?
Get a trainer. I don't care if it's expensive. Invest in your health. The best
Yes.
thing you can do is get a trainer. You're probably going to find a shitty one. That's fine. Be okay with that. Then just jump to the next one. You will find the right one. Okay. There are a lot of good trainers out there, and I suggest a trainer because a trainer can help you with technique. They can follow you around the gym, make sure you're feeling confident, right? There's nothing better than having your own like little chaperone, really.
Yeah.
They'll show you what to do. They'll tell you what to do. They'll write a program for you. Like I like the idea of a trainer. I was a trainer. That's how I started in the industry. And the amount of people that would come in and they were scared. Like they were scared of going to the gym. Like there's all these heavy weights. People are dropping things. Everyone's lifting like crazy amounts and they are coming in barely able to even squat. So I always say to people, start the gym and just start with a trainer. That's it. Like that's plenty. Now, the next step to that is just make sure you are consistent. So set a plan for your workout days. If that's 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever it is, but set a plan so that you can hold yourself to going. So once you have a trainer, maybe your trainer's once a week, twice a week, and the other days are on your own, whatever it looks like. First, you start there. Then you actually set a plan so that you can go consistently. And lastly, get a goal. You can't be shooting for nothing. And
Right.
I want to be stronger is not a goal. I want to be fitter is not a goal. Get a specific goal in mind. I want to drop 5 pounds. I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. I want to be able to do a pull up. I want to be able to run a mile without looking like I'm going to die. Like, whatever the goal is, get a goal in mind because I think what people do is they just go, I just want to be stronger and more confident. And you're like, how do you measure that? Like, help me measure that.
Yeah.
So if something isn't measurable, how do you know if you're attaining it?
Right.
So I
That's a
always say
great point.
trainer, like schedule plan, and then a goal in mind to chase.
Perfect. Now, so if someone wants to coach with you or connect with you or hire you for a speaking gig, how
Mhm.
can they find you?
Yes, so they can find me at my website, so snezv.com. That's first step. I'm really active on Instagram, so Snezv, Snezv. That's an easy one to find. And then they can email me, coaching at snezv.com as well. I do have the option of coming to find me for speaking, coming to find me for coaching, coming to find me for anything, like whatever I can do to help someone. I just want to that's one of my goals in life, is to be the last coach that people need and help shift them out of the mindset that they're in that's keeping them stuck.
And teach them and show them how to wear a pair of jeans.
That's also true. Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, if I can ever add any more value or answer any questions from anyone, I'm happy to.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, the beautiful Snez V, the beautiful, robust, healthy, and vigorous Snez V. Thank you so much, and that's a wrap.